I don't have much of a voice, but I have a thought and a small rant that I don't really want to wait on. So this might be a little bit interesting. Hello friends, it is Sunday. I am too gross and sick to be at church. Saw a Facebook post early this morning about the lying press and gun control issues. I will not yell. I hate it when people blame the press just because the information they don't want to see is being reported. And then they dig up information from the FBI website or other websites that have to do with law enforcement, investigation of different issues, and they assume that that is telling 100% of the story, even though everyone has a bias and every source is going to have some sort of tilt in one direction. In terms of the free press, this person was saying that at one point in time, the press was a powerhouse that always reported the things that needed to be reported and made sure that the citizens knew what was happening in the country. And that recently, the press has become more propaganda than news. In relation to gun control specifically, when you look at the free press, and then you look at the fact that we have recently, in the last 5 years even, have developed these things called social media apps that require the free press to report not on a 24-hour cycle, not even on a 12-hour cycle, but an hour to half an hour cycle. If you look at Twitter specifically, journalists are constantly live tweeting events that they are at instead of just writing a piece about it for the next day's paper. Some people live stream events. I watched a live stream of an anti-Trump protest just a few days after the inauguration happened. And the live stream was coming from a reporter who was going back and forth between the anti-protesters and the protesters and interviewing people about what was happening, how they were feeling about it, asking them questions in the moment while they were feeling the heat of emotion. But this person was merely putting out what was happening as he saw it. There was no commentary of his own bias. There was no, oh, but this is the way it is. Do you agree with me? It was, hey, I'm seeing this and the people over there said this. What would you say in response to that? Recently there was a CNN town hall, which was technically orchestrated by the survivors of the school shooting. Say what you want about CNN, say what you want about Anderson Cooper, a lot of people who were involved in that event. But it gave two sides a chance to have a conversation, and it happened on live television in front of an audience, not just there, but also an audience around the world that was looking at what was happening and listening to the two sides have a conversation where maybe one side would show a strong bias to one side of the issue, and that, of course, was going to happen. Journalists are the first whistleblowers that ever spread information about any event. If you go to a national level and they start interviewing reporters who have been overseas at one of the places where our military is stationed, or if they are at an international event that has had a lot of tension, those people are going to have opinions based on their life experience in that event. If they've been there, if they've been immersed in that culture or that people group within our country, they're going to learn things that no one else is going to know, or they're not going to be willing to talk about. You look at Facebook or Twitter or any social media platform that allows you to post any kind of news. And the common person can post whatever the heck they want, written by whoever they want. It could be by Fox News, it could be by CNN, it could be by a local reporter who wrote something on a blog. And regardless of where it came from, they are posting something from a bias of their own. So what bothers me about blaming the free press for lying about everything about an issue or creating a slant in one direction is that the people are the ones the journalists are writing for. If the people do not look beyond their own bias, if the people do not do their own research beyond their own personal beliefs, they will never know whether they are being told the truth. So in that respect, I can see the frustration of people who think that the free press lies all the time. But just because you look at one website that happens to have different information that comes from a government-supported entity versus a person looking at the facts that they find when they do research for months or even years. Who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the faceless, or are you going to believe the individual who went to the time and the effort to make that research become a piece of information that people can actually consume within a short period of time? Yes, there are faults within the press. It's not perfect, but I would like to suggest that if we start blaming the press for lying about everything that we don't agree with, just because we find one piece of evidence that may or may not be the whole story, as soon as we do that, we have created doubt that cannot be taken back, creating doubt in the minds of the people who have to have that information in order to make good decisions and take care of their families and thrive and grow as people. Without the press, we would not have information. Without the press, we would not hold leaders accountable. Without the press, we would not know what is happening across the world. And some people may think that's a good thing, but I don't think that ever is beneficial. How will we ever be an informed people that takes care of our children and takes care of the people across the globe who are hurting and have no resources if we are not told by the people who are brave enough to take a camera or a pencil or a computer and document what's happening? I don't see any way that we can get past the need for the free press, and I think the only way that we can hold the press accountable is by doing more research than just looking up sources that confirm our own bias. So is there bias in the free press? Yes. Are there lies within the free press? Yes. Check out Fox News. Most of the things they post are lies. But I would say that just because we think we have the whole story doesn't mean that we even have half of it. I kind of love the free press, if you haven't noticed. Could not care less about owning a gun. But I care quite a bit about free information and freedom of information.